There's fresh dirt all over the United States of America every day. And they said, this could be mass graves. And when I read that, I thought, we are right now being the victim of a propaganda campaign. What is going on here? There's something more going on here than what they're telling us. They kept saying Milosevic was evil. He'd killed so many people. The Albanians were trying to secede from Yugoslavia. He didn't want them to. That is true. And there was a civil war raging, and there were people being killed. But to accuse him of trying to wipe out the Albanians in a massive genocide campaign.
Because there was fresh dirt.
Yes. So consequently, the day that President Clinton and NATO launched the war against Yugoslavia, I was so perturbed that I had our research assistant, Kathy, to call the U.S. State Department. And she asked them, tell us how many people Milosevic has killed. And they said, we don't know. All we have is allegations. She said, you mean you don't know whether he's killed 5 or 5,000? We're starting a war today. We're dropping bombs on Yugoslavia today. You don't know whether he's killed 5 or 5,000? The person at our U.S. State Department said to us, at our ministry, all we have is allegations. Well, my alarm bells were going off because I realized that there was an agenda far beyond this. We ultimately interviewed at Endtime the information minister during the Milosevic administration, and she confirmed our suspicions that there was not genocide in progress. She was not attempting to paint Mr. Milosevic snowy white, but she simply said this was a civil war, people died on both sides, but there was no genocide. Now, what's the point?
The point that I see in this is that I don't see any problem with the U.S. or any military force in the world trying to go in and stopping genocide. I think that does need to be done. I don't think we need a world government to solve that. But that was the purpose that I understood that Clinton launched a war, was because on humanitarian basis. But that's not why he received the Charlemagne Prize. Because that's not what the Charlemagne Prize is given for. It's given to the person who has done the most to help further and foster European unity. How did that military action achieve that goal to give him that prize?
Well, Yugoslavia is now scheduled to become a member of the European Union as a result of what Clinton did, and you have touched the pressure point of this whole subject. Clinton was given the Charlemagne Prize because he was chosen as the man that year that had done the most to facilitate the unification of Europe. They give this prize every year to someone. Well, he ended up going to Europe, and they gave him this prize. He made a speech at the cathedral there in Aachen, Germany, and so this was quite a story that Bill Clinton, the President of the United States, would be working for European unity. Why do they give this Charlemagne Prize every year? Because they know they're working toward their goal, and that's what they want to accomplish.
And Milosevic was not playing ball with the EU. He was maintaining his position as the leader of a sovereign nation, and that's what he was protecting, but that could not be tolerated. He was removed. Clinton did it. Clinton got the prize. Not saying that Milosevic was a saint. Genocide? Could be. Don't know. That's not the point.
He's been on trial for 2 years now, and it looks like they're getting ready to call a mistrial. This is either a weak case or it's an incredibly huge case, because this trial at the International Court of Justice is just grinding on and on and on. Okay, so that's Clinton receiving the Charlemagne Prize. Another very interesting event happened, and this was published in The Economist magazine just a little while back. And in this magazine, it talked about a luncheon between President Bush and the head of the European Commission, Romano Prodi. And in that particular luncheon, Mr. Prodi was telling us, look at all we're doing in Europe. We're going to have 455 million members. We're going to have an elected president. We're going to have a military. We're all joined together economically. We now have the euro, which is growing in strength by leaps and bounds. And President Bush just coyly remarked, well, Romano sounds like the Roman Empire to me. Prophetic words.
Hello.
Prophetic words.
Yes.
When I read that in The Economist magazine, which is the most prominent publication in Europe, when I read that, I thought, does President Bush have a clue what he's saying? He should have said, sounds like the Holy Roman Empire to me. I don't think President Bush understands that nuance.
But what we're going to try to do now is introduce the holy aspect to the Roman Empire to try to show the link between the empire created by Charlemagne and the Pope back in 800 AD to what's being created today.
Yeah, what role is the church playing right now in all of this? Because if it is in fact to be the Holy Roman Empire, the church element has to be there. Now, Europe's been working on this constitution for a little while, but they have left out reference to the Roman Catholic Church. They don't want, some of the leaders of Europe don't want this to be a church-state unity. However, the Pope has been saying repeatedly, don't forget the historic role of Christianity. Consequently, they're having problems completing the Constitution. Now, one of the reasons we're hearing they're having problems completing this Constitution is because they can't decide how to weight the vote in, and that is part of the problem. But I think there's another problem. Poland is one of the chief holdouts because Poland is the home of the present Pope, Pope John Paul II, and they want their patriarch to get his rightful due, and they want the church to be included. Poland is 95% Catholic and one of the more devout nations left in Europe, so they want the traditional role of the church to be involved. You know, Eddie, I have known for years that the Roman Catholic Church has been a prominent player in the European meetings. I believe they have a high-level representative at all of the high-level European Union meetings, even to this day. I know they were very instrumental in founding the Holy Roman Empire, and also the modern Holy Roman Empire, the European Union. Remember what the Pope announced just recently? They're planning on beatifying Mr. John Schumann.
Robert Schumann.
Robert Schumann.
Yeah, he's the man known, I think he died back in the early 1960s. He's the man known as the father of Europe, the father of the European Union. And he's being beatified, meaning he's being made into, that's the first process before you become a saint. Why would the father of the European Union, a political institution, be deserving of being a saint? You know, Saint Robert, Saint Schumann.
Well, he was a Roman Catholic, and the Roman Catholic Church wants the unification of Europe desperately. And they also want their role in the unification of Europe to be recognized. And many commentators are saying this is Pope John Paul II's effort to make sure that the leaders of the European Union realize the church has been very much involved from the very beginning, so they're planning on beatifying the father of the European Union. And this puts him on the road to sainthood. Now, it's my understanding that in order to have sainthood, it has to be proven that you have performed a miracle. Maybe the miracle is going to be the unification of Europe. After all the strife of World War I, World War II, I don't know how they're going to justify making him a saint, but that is the plan. So
there's another point we may want to bring in here. About 10, 12 years ago, the pretty tight relationship that Mikhail Gorbachev had with Pope John Paul II, and Pope John Paul II said, we need to have Mikhail Gorbachev as the leader of a unified Europe. I mean, there's always been that element of involvement.
Yeah, that was published in U.S. News and World Report. And I was shocked the day I read that article that this Pope would say that a communist should be the head of a unified Europe, the Holy Roman Empire. Interesting. And then Mikhail Gorbachev wrote an article around that time called My Partner the Pope, which was published in the New York Times. So there's a lot of interesting intrigue going on here when we look at all these things. Now, there's another aspect that I think you're going to be very interested in because we're talking now about the role of the church in the European Union that is developing. 2004 is going to be a powerful year. Now, this has been developing since 1957, so we can't focus everything on 2004. The reason 2004 is so prominent is because this is the year of enlargement. This is the year when they will elect their first president, and many other things. They're hoping to adopt a constitution for Europe this year. So this is a very pivotal year that we find ourselves in right now as we're making this program. Now, another interesting thing we want to take a look at here is the flag of the European Union because it says volumes. One of our listeners to our radio program, Eddie, sent us a picture. And this picture had a statue of the Virgin Mary standing in front of 12 stars. And
yes, it was taken at a church in Brussels, I believe.
Yes, it was
in
taken there. Yes, and that set us to researching why the European flag has 12 stars. Because